In today's episode, I'm gonna go over 10 autoimmune paleo or AIP diet friendly breakfast ideas. The reason I wanted to do this video is because breakfast is probably the hardest thing to really kind of get your head around while on AIP. It's like, I think eggs, cereal, pancakes, all of these things are normal things on anyone's diet. And then when you go to AIP, you can't have the eggs. Cereal's kind of out. And I mean, you can make your own cereals and stuff. You can always make your own of anything, but it's really difficult. And then also, even things like pancakes you can have, but it's not really recommended because you really don't want to start your day off with like sugary things and only, go down from there with the blood sugar, because otherwise you're gonna get stuck on that blood sugar thing, and you really don't want that either. You will see one of my ideas does encompass pancakes, but let's just get to that. So I'm gonna go straight into my list. These are just some ideas of what you can eat for breakfast. Again, just like most of my list, not completely comprehensive. There are many other things you can eat. But these are just some ideas to just kind of get the ball rolling for you so you don't feel so paralyzed when it comes to breakfast ideas while on AIP. So the first idea are those breakfast parfaits that I shared a few episodes back. I'll link to it here, and I'll also link to the post on my blog that has the full recipe as well. But these are made out of coconut milk and gelatin and can be customized in pretty much any way with the toppings that you want and also the ingredients that you put in them. The one I shared was for a pumpkin pie coconut parfait that had sauteed apples on top and raisins. And it's just a delicious, good high-fat kind of way to start your day. And you can always add something else to it, like a breakfast sausage. But I really like these because they kind of remind me of yogurt. And so you can make them into parfaits or whatever you want. And they are very similar to something that you may already be eating while on like a standard American diet or paleo. They're also great because you can make them ahead of time and then just kind of grab and go with them in the morning. Because I know breakfast time is always one of those really, really busy times of the day. And anything that you can do ahead of time so that you're not kind of in that stressed out mode really can help, especially set you up for the day, that you're not stressed, and then also just make it easier to accomplish this diet in general. The second idea are soups. Now, if you haven't done AIP before or haven't really been doing it, having soup for breakfast might sound like a strange idea, but it is kind of my favorite thing to have for breakfast. It's easy to digest, so especially if you have, like me, I have aversions to a lot of things in the morning. I don't know what it is, but like I cannot have fish. Like don't get me smelling anywhere near fish in the morning. I will throw up. And just other things like that. There's certain things I just don't find palatable in the morning. And I think a lot of you suffer from the same thing. And so soups are easy to digest. You can bring them with you wherever you go. You can drink them out of a straw if you have to, like a smoothie. Or you can just reheat them after having made them on the weekend. I mean, again, like they're easy to make. They are great for getting in all kinds of vegetables. Soups, I mean, to make one, all you really need is like a chicken or beef broth or stock, and then some roasted or steamed veggies. You can use pretty much any steamed veggie, and I mean, even greens, like leafy greens can make a great soup, and just kind of mix them all together. You can experiment with herbs and some spices on AIP, but like salt, and just, I mean, they're delicious, and like I said, easy to digest in the morning. I do have my AIP soups batch cooking plan available now for sale on my website. And that one is how to make 4 different soups, like 4 different servings of 4 different soups in like an hour to hour and a half period that you can either make for the week or freeze for later. And it like gives you step by step exactly what you need to do. And it's a great thing to have in your freezer for later in case like of emergencies or those mornings where you're just going crazy. So that's available for sale on my website. I will link to that below. And it's also part of my Autoimmune Collective AIP only membership site. So you can either get it via just the book or part of the membership site. Idea number 3 is to have like a bowl of several different components. One of my favorite that I've been eating a lot lately has been some sauteed mushrooms, which Dr. Sarah Ballantyne has actually elevated mushrooms to like a superfood kind of status lately. So take that, like eating mushrooms is really great for your microbiota and for autoimmune disease in general. So, but I like to saute my mushrooms with a little bit of coconut oil and some salt, some garlic, and some thyme. And just do that, saute it in a pan until they kind of just release their juices. So it's about like 10 to 15 minutes. And then I'll also add a little bit of like pork or chicken sausage. Typically I'll make my own. I'll get some ground pork or ground chicken, and then I like Primal Palate's breakfast blend. Just kind of mix that in, but then you can use your own mix of spices or herbs or anything. Just make a kind of a quick, loose breakfast sausage. And then you can add something like a sauteed kale. After I make the sausage, I usually just throw in a bunch of diced kale, kind of mix it all up until it kind of starts to wilt. And then you can also add things like radishes and avocado as well. I mean, just add to your heart's content, customize, use whatever kind of vegetables or whatever you want. But like a bowl of nourishing veggies with a little protein and fat can really fill you up and set you off on the right track for the day. That meal does take a little bit more time in the morning, so it's probably not best if you have to like run, but if you have like 10-15 minutes in the morning to cook something, it's an ideal meal to make. Idea number 4 is really for those of you that really like a porridge kind of style breakfast. Mashed cauliflower, or like you steam some cauliflower with some apples and mix it all together, really actually kind of tastes great. And you can add all kinds of stuff to it to make it taste even better. You can add cinnamon, mace, which is the replacement for nutmeg on AIP. You could add like sauteed apples or just fresh apples, berries, little maple syrup. I mean, anything that you could do on like oatmeal, you can put on top of this and it's delicious. And again, it's something you can make on the weekend and just reheat as necessary throughout the week. If you want to add a little bit more protein to it, you can add a scoop of collagen, which is the one that doesn't need to be heated, unlike gelatin. And that one will help with your skin and your nails and your hair and your gut lining, and you know, collagen is great. So add that. I mean, just all kinds of things that you can do to customize a porridge like that. Idea number 5 is also one that would work for all of you that like porridges, and it's a sweet potato bowl. I shared a video a couple back, which I will link to here, that explains how to make that. And it's just basically mashed sweet potato, but you add some stuff into it to make it a little bit more like a bowl. And again, add all kinds of toppings to your heart's content. And it's really filling and delicious. And it's something I eat all the time, whether I'm on an AIP or not. I love them. Now, idea number 6 are those pancakes, but it's in a pancake bowl. So instead of just having pancakes with maple syrup, I encourage you to make a bowl of pancakes. And this is probably something I would do more on the weekends if you want like a, you know, extravagant kind of like fun weekend meal, because we all love to do that. But like have some pancakes, add some coconut milk yogurt if you can make that, or buy it. Cocoa is one that is AIP compliant, but you could also make your own, or you could try those coconut parfaits that I said in idea number 1. Just don't put anything in it, just make it kind of plain. Put that on there. You can add avocado, berries, tiger nuts. I mean, just add some other stuff in there to make it more of a bowl instead of just pancakes on a plate, and to make it a little bit more of a rounded meal is probably a better idea, and to help with your blood sugar as well. I do have a recipe for some AIP cassava flour pancakes that I will link to below that you could use for this. Idea number 7 is one of the best ones, and that's have leftovers of anything. It's definitely a different way of thinking about breakfast, but instead of just thinking about leftovers for dinner the next night or for lunch, you can have them for breakfast. And for breakfast, it's a really great idea. Like if you say you make a meal and you only have a teeny tiny little bit of leftovers, save it. And then you'll probably have teeny tiny little bits of leftovers from other things, and you can put them all together into a bowl. Or you can just have leftovers of just whatever, and that makes a great breakfast. It's nourishing because whatever you made for lunch or dinner probably is pretty nourishing, and it's a great way to start off your day. It does take a little bit of getting used to start doing this, but I think once you start doing that, it makes it just easier because you don't even have to think about it. You just throw the leftovers in the microwave or on the stove, and then you have, you know, a great meal. And you can always have some leftovers and add some fresh components to it as well. I mean, like say, maybe you have some leftovers and you want to add some pancakes, or you have some leftovers and you want to add a little bit of a sweet potato bowl or something. You can always mix and match. Don't say you have to do all of these ideas by themselves. Just, you know, I want you to think outside the box and start kind of creating your own meals, but try to think about nourishing your body for the day when you do so. Idea number 8 is to make a hash of something. And a hash does not have to mean something like potatoes with fried eggs on top. It does not have to mean that. A hash can be pretty much anything. You can dice up sweet potatoes, turnips, carrots, butternut squash, yucca, like fennels, onions, garlic, all of these things. And just kind of either roast them or cook them in a pan until they are tender and soft. You can add all kind of herbs to it, add some diced or sliced avocado on top. Again, the sky's the limit with this one. You can make a hash out of like all the leftover veggies you have in your fridge that are about to rot if you don't use them. I mean, just kind of experiment with this too, but they're pretty easy and they can be quite delicious and filling. Idea number 9 is sweet potato toast. Now, this one's pretty easy to make. You just need to peel a sweet potato and then slice it pretty thinly, like about a quarter inch thick. And then you can put it in the oven until it's soft, about like 15 minutes or so. Or you can put it into a toaster and put it on the high setting, and it's probably gonna have to go up and down a couple of times until it's tender. You wanna make sure it's tender with a fork. And then you can put all kind of toppings on top of it. The alternative to making your own sweet potato toast is that Sweet Potato Awesome freeze-dried sweet potatoes that I did a review on a couple of months ago. Again, I'll link to it so you can watch that video, but they have those flat out, like the sweet potato slices, and those make great vehicles for sweet potato toast because you can just take them out of the bag and then add your toppings and go, and you don't have to worry about making the sweet potato toast part. And they stay really, really firm, so like when you pick it up, it's not gonna droop on you or anything like that. So that makes another great option if you are gonna be making sweet potato toasts quite often. But toppings for these, again, sky's the limit with this one. Avocado is pretty much the quintessential one that you would see. You could either do like avocado slices or make like a guac, just mash up some avocado, some lime juice, some salt, a little maybe like some garlic, and just kind of mash it all up and put it on top of your sweet potato toast. You could add slices of like ham if you want. Make sure it's AIP friendly, but then you can also do things like tiger nut butter and then like bananas and some honey. And I shared in my how to make coconut milk video the other day, I'll link to it here, how to make the fig and ricotta sweet potato toast from the pulp of the coconut milk. So there's just all kinds of things that you can do. Sweet potato toast is especially great for when you have families and people over, like maybe you have relatives visiting or something like that, where you all want to have something different. We actually do this a lot when we have my in-laws come to town, because we'll set out the sweet potato toast, like the rounds or whatever, and then we'll set out a whole bunch of toppings, and then everybody can take whatever they want. You can fry up or scramble some eggs for those people that can have eggs. You can add all kinds of things that you can't touch, but they can have, so that way they're happy. And then you can have all the stuff that you can have, so you're happy. And it makes like a great kind of bringing together kind of meal, and something that's not as necessarily like, you don't have to make a totally separate meal for someone else when you have a family or guest. Oh, and sweet potato toast is also a great vehicle for liver pate if you are not the biggest fan and know that you should be getting your organ meats in, because they are so nutritious for us, especially those of us with autoimmune disease, but it's very hard for some of us to eat that stuff. It's a really good way to do it, because then you can add things like radishes and garlic and all of these things that kind of overpower the taste of the liver, and just kind of eat it like that. That's my favorite way of eating liver pate. Can't say I love it, but it's better than any other way. And the last idea, or idea number 10, are smoothies. Now, smoothies aren't exactly smiled upon as the best idea for a breakfast on an AIP, just because the brain signals that we get from drinking something versus something when we chew something are kind of different, and the digestive enzymes and all of the different processes in your body are a little bit different when you drink versus when you chew. So I do recommend, if you're going to have a smoothie for breakfast, that you do have something to chew it with. You could have like a breakfast sausage or a roll or like a little piece of ham or, you know, something, just something to go with it that you're chewing, so that way it does stimulate the digestive juices and kind of gets your brain in the mode that, hey, we're eating something here. I don't know if you're like this, but I have a problem that if I don't eat something with a smoothie, I'm starving 5 minutes later because my body never received that signal that, hey, you ate something. And then the other suggestions with smoothies are that you use something like collagen in them to kind of up the protein intake, and also some fat. So you could either add like coconut oil or avocado or MCT oils, whatever kind of fat that you would like in that, but so that way maybe a little less fruit than you might be used to, and up the veggies, like leafy greens or celery, you know, all these different kind of things, just to make it not so sugar heavy, so that it's not going to raise your blood sugar at the beginning of the day again, and like make it so it's up here and then you have to go down for the rest of the day, and that just does not set you up for a great day. So go veg heavy, protein and fats, and otherwise you can use pretty much any smoothie recipe that you see out there, and then just remove the AIP not compliant ingredients. So if there's like a nut butter, you can replace it with something like coconut flakes or tiger nut butter or the collagen or whatever. Just don't add any seeds or other kind of like not AIP compliant ingredients like goji berries or cacao nibs or, you know, any of those things. But otherwise, smoothies can be a decent portable option, because I know a lot of you are so busy and you have relied on smoothies. So I'm not saying don't have them, but just be cautious of how you have them when you do. All right, well, those are 10 ideas of breakfast that you can have on AIP. Hopefully you like at least one of those and feel like you have a grip on it and can run with something so that you're not starving in the morning. And really just don't overthink it. It can just be like any other meal. If you really, really are dying about it, then go ahead and just make a dinner for breakfast. That's the easiest possible way to do it. Just have leftovers. So hopefully that helps. And again, if you have not signed up for my Paleo Freebie library, there's a ton of resources in there. Like I have a AIP starter guide, 25 snack ideas. I mean, just all kinds of AIP and paleo resources that really help you on your journey to make it easier, faster, and quicker. And I will link to that below. And otherwise, I will see you guys next week.